In 5, 4, 3, 2. Actually, I'll give it one more second here. Usually it's at 10 seconds. All right. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, also streaming on Expert CRE Secrets, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy such as the Deferred Sales Trust is an excellent way for you to exit highly appreciated cryptocurrency, businesses, real estate, so you can defer millions of taxes so you can create and preserve more wealth or help your clients, friends, and family do the same. Hey, I'm your host, Brett Swarts. In each episode, I'm joined by some of the best real estate, financial, wealth, cryptocurrency, tech entrepreneurs in the world where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. I'm excited about our next guest. He's out of Southern California, and he's on a mission to help create social experiences for your brand and bring your community to the metaverse for a real-time connection and play. He's originally from kind of New York and also from Cleveland, Ohio, and so much more here. I'm going to pull up his bio. He's also the founder and CEO of Topia, a platform for creative visual experiences that inspire authentic human connection. He also has a background in Wall Street and then over to Silicon Valley. And again, he's on a mission to foster human connection through technology. Please welcome to the show with me, Daniel Liebeskind. Did I pronounce that correctly, Dan? Do I butcher that?
That pronunciation works. It's Liebeskind is how I pronounce it, but even other people in my family call ourselves by different last names. So
Liebeskind, got it. All right, thank you, brother, man. Well, appreciate that. And so, for our listeners getting to know you for the first time, would you give us a little bit more about your story and your current focus?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me here, Brett. Excited to be on the show. I started when I was a kid building video games. Always been a gamer. I've always been surrounded by community and driven by that. The idea of being able to create art, music, those kinds of things. I was actually, it was suggested to me at a young age that that's not a great way to gain financial freedom and independence, and that being in finance or being a lawyer, being a doctor, those are the ways to gain financial freedom. Right. And so I really liked building games. I liked creating things, but I went into finance. I went to investment banking at Lehman Brothers during the financial collapse. And then Barclays Capital bought some of the employees out from the imploding Lehman. And so I went to Barclays. I was then an investor at Summit Partners, which is a late stage VC, a growth equity company, essentially. And while I was there, I realized that what I really liked doing was building things. And so I decided, and basically my job was to talk to entrepreneurs. I realized, entrepreneurs are pretty normal people that have a burning passion for something and a strong conviction about something. And so I decided to leave, start coding again, just building things. And I built my first, what is now referred to as the metaverse company in 2015 using WebRTC, which is a technology for streaming audio and video between different devices. And it was called Body. It's a way for fitness instructors to create their own virtual fitness studios, build community, and then teach live interactive classes where they could see participants and participants could see each other. That was the beginning of my coding journey. I then had a dev shop. I built community projects, crypto projects. I was an Ethereum developer during the 2017, 2018 craziness. And in total built something like 22 different applications as part of my dev shop over 7 years. Some of those were for myself. Many of them were for clients. And I've along the way had conviction that the real-time internet was coming, that the internet was the asynchronous internet is very leveraging, right? You can create content and then share it, broadcast it, reinforces persona, whatever you're crafting, and people can consume it asynchronously, not real time. That is very leveraging, and that's kind of where the internet has been. But if you look towards multiplayer games, MMOs, even the rise of Zoom and other webinar platforms, you have real-time connection, which is just way more authentic, way more human. And so this passion to bring what is happening in MMOs and games into the mainstream and make it possible for remote work, but also remote play and remote community and driving access to millions of people around the world being able to join a community instead of the people that live geographically close. And so I started Topia in 2020. It actually started as a VR platform in 2019. And then the pandemic hit. I realized that people did not have VR devices. This was not an accessible technology yet. And so restarted as a browser-based application, wound up hosting Burning Man virtually in 2020 and then again in 2021. And along the way, we've hosted many large enterprise companies and communities, Asana, Okta, Autodesk, Adobe on the enterprise front, and then many different communities. We've had weddings and birthday parties, and it's been really special.
It's very special. And wow, what an introduction. That is so amazing. I love the background. I love that you went through some of the crash and some of the craziness of Wall Street. And I love that you went back to your passion, which is building things, right? Which leads into this next question. You know, Daniel, I believe we've all been given certain gifts in this life, and these gifts have been given to us to be a blessing and help to others. Some people call them strengths, some people call them superpowers. I want you to go back to that, that video game, that younger days where you're just learning about video games and playing, just for the love of it all, right? What gifts do you believe you were given, and how does that help how you help and bless people today?
Wow, that's a good question, and interesting question. I think one of the things that I'm really good at is understanding a really complex problem very quickly and then figuring out solutions. And that's kind of what I do as a coder. And I think I did learn that from video games early on in many ways. I played an MMO, which is a massively multiplayer online role-playing game for those that don't know what MMORPG stands for. I played one in particular called Star Wars Galaxies when I was pretty young, and there they had a whole an ecosystem, like an economy, and you could specialize in different things, create content, create weapons, use raw materials, convert them into things, and then sell them. So I learned a lot actually about economics and being able to see a larger picture and then refine it down into something very specialized. I played a lot of tycoon games as well, which are all about how to distill complex systems into simple solutions and problem solving. And so I would say that, I before I started Topia, what I called myself was a rapid prototyping specialist. I actually built the first prototype of Topia. We launched in public 3 weeks after the first line of code was written. And so, and that's just because I've honed myself over and over and over and over again in figuring out something really complex, figuring out what the MVP is, minimum viable product, and then building it really fast and getting it out there and getting people using it, getting people telling me what's wrong with it, how it can be improved. And I love that. I love when people use my technology, my products, and especially when it brings a smile to their face or makes them feel anything.
Incredible. I love that. So so the first one is understanding complex problems and then solving it, right? And then, but not just that, but being able to rapidly separate what's going to be viable and what's going to be usable and getting it out to the market, which leads into this concept called radical open-mindedness, right? Which is like, hey, let's just get it out there and let's just see, what the feedback is and let's improve upon that. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, definitely. And, a lot of people are afraid to have their things in public. A lot of companies, for example, are stealth, they go in stealth. Or they make you sign an NDA before they'll even give you the idea or anything like that. Yeah, I think for me, it's been if by giving away your idea or being out in public means that you're going to lose to the competition, you're probably not the right person or team for this anyways. And I know we hear that a lot, but the real reality is that if you build something compelling and interesting that people love, there's going to be a tremendous amount of competition. And so it doesn't matter really if you give it away at the very beginning or you give it away when you actually launch. Either way, you're gonna wind up competing. And if you're the wrong team for this, then it's probably then you're probably the wrong team.
Hey, makes sense. So let's move into the number one secret to creating social experiences for your brand. So what's the number one secret to do that, Daniel?
I think that you need to create something sticky to bring people together real time, right? So and that maybe seems silly to say. Obviously, for a real-time experience, people need to be there real time, but it's anybody that's played multiplayer games, especially 10 years ago, pre sort of Fortnite, knows the challenge with matchmaking of getting people real time to actually show up for the same experience. And so one of the secrets to that in the metaverse is to actually plan events so you can have persistent worlds, but plan events and don't make your worlds too big. Often we have people come in and they create gigantic worlds. And in Topia, you can scale the worlds to be basically infinitely sized and bring thousands of people together concurrently. But it's actually much better to keep density. Density is the beauty of real-time experiences.
Interesting. Okay, so create something that's sticky to bring everyone together in real time. and then don't make it too big, but also plan events. Is that the first secret? What's the number two?
Number two would be that you should use a platform that allows you to deeply customize the experience so that it really fits your brand. The last thing people want to do is be in a generic experience. And frankly, no offense to Zoom, but one of the reasons that something like Topia exists is that we have no context. We have no branding. We have no experiential layer in something like a Zoom. And so for brands in the metaverse, it's all about that customization. It's all about play and aligning the context in which people are going to be interacting and having human connection with each other, all to be about your brand.
That makes sense, right? So use a platform that allows you to deeply customize. Can you give us kind of an example of that? Like if you're a financial company or a tech company or a dentist office or something, like how would you go about customizing that? What does that look like?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of different tools for customizing. So in Topia, you can just upload PNGs and actually form the world around you. It's very, very easy. You can do it in 5 minutes. And so just uploading your actual branding into a world, starting with a template, right? You don't have to build things from scratch in the metaverse. So you start with a template, which is in the marketplace, is in the library. And from there, you can then customize, upload your own branding, embed product demos, embed experiences inside of assets. Actually, if you scroll down here, Brett's on the homepage, topia.io. We have Topia embedded in our actual site. And this actually shows you that you can use Topia as an embed within your own brand. And that's something that's pretty special as well. Yeah, you need to actually create an account here because it's our welcome lobby.
That's cool. We'll create an account. By the way, for those who are wondering about this and you want to go there live right now, you can go to topia.io, topia.io, and that's spelled Topia.io. And I'm going to create this account here, and this is going to be a secret password that nobody knows about. So even though we're recording, you can't see that, which is a good thing. Yes, enter the world. And so I got we're going to keep talking here as I go ahead and make my account. So all right, so that's really cool, and then we'll do another demonstration of this. So you can customize it, and you can create an experience where people feel like they're part of something different than just a standard Zoom. That's really important. That makes sense to me, Daniel. So what would be number three as for the secret to making sure you're getting the most out of creating a social experience for your brand?
I think you need to actually build community around your brand. And this is a mistake. I wouldn't even say a mistake. I think it's the challenge often for brands is how do you build both an aspirational community, a customer community, and a conversion community, which is kind of like just how do you actually bring prospects through that journey into joining, into interacting with each other and into interacting with existing customers. And so, platforms like Topia, that's the purpose, right? That's what it's for. But you can do this in person as well. And a lot of conventions do these sorts of things. Some companies, some brands, as everybody knows, actually host their own conferences or show up at Art Basel and those sorts of gatherings and host branded experiences to build community, right? But a community is really only as strong as the connections between individuals within that community. And so it's really hard to build community in something like Zoom, where you're just broadcasting. People aren't able to self-facilitate. They don't have the agency to connect to whoever they want. And they're not actually strengthening the bonds between one another.
Interesting. So it is at the essence back to the connection in the community aspect. So you said customer, you said aspirational. I imagine customer is what keeps the lights on, right? You get paid to do something, right? So you got to hopefully that's part of it. And then aspirational, that would be maybe something beyond just making the money. I'm throwing some ideas out here. You said there was a third one though, and correct me if I'm wrong on those first two.
Yeah, so I almost think of it as think of something like a Tesla, right? They're an aspirational brand. They have aspirational community of people that love Teslas that don't actually have one and are not anywhere near buying one. And that's an aspirational community of people that are just really into the company, right? Into the product. And then they can become prospects when they're trying to make a purchasing decision. They qualify, they're actually making a move on this. And then customers obviously own a Tesla. And all three of these are different communities, and being able to actually cross-pollinate those communities is really powerful for a brand.
Got it. Awesome. And by the way, we are officially live and inside of topia.io. And again, you can learn more about everything we're talking about and Daniel and his company by going to topia.io. Okay, cool. So let me go enter my name here. Brett, enter the world. Okay, enter the world. Okay, welcome to Topia. Okay. And I'm going to just click on next to get in here. So what should I be doing now, Daniel, on this?
Well, so just click the let's go. This may have some issues with the loading because we're in Zoom.
Because we're in Zoom, it might take our video. Yeah. Let me allow this.
Here, click allow. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, let's see if this goes here.
So you give permissions, and then hopefully that loads in, and then you click let's go. You go into the world, and then other people that are in there are able to interface with you. I'm actually in there right now. I just jumped in. So awesome. If we're able to get in here, you'll see me walking around, and we could have hundreds of people in here at once. Mm-hmm. Here, maybe just try refreshing the page.
Yeah, refresh the page, because I had to do from there. So refresh there. And by the way, I play some Fortnite with my daughters, and we battle, and we game plan, and we connect with some other friends. My other buddy has 4 kids, and I got 5, and so it's he and I, and then we each have a one of our kids as our team member. We all go in and try to win the game. And so it's a lot of fun, right? Because otherwise some of the dads don't get as much time together unless they're spending with the kids. So it's kind of a hybrid, and we get to talk and catch up, and we're not just sitting on the phone talking to each other. We're having fun with our kids. And so it's a win-win-win. So
exactly. And it looks like a social experience, right? You have the context around you in which you're interacting. So it's not like you're just sitting there staring at each other. You're actually doing something. You're playing. Yeah. And there's that camaraderie. There's that excitement and frankly, it's just context. And that's what happens in real life. You never really just meet with somebody and just sit there and stare at them. You have a world around you, right? You're at a bar, you're at a restaurant, you're at a concert. And so that's really important to forming memories, which are really the glue that is the human connection.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to give Daniel the screen sharing capability, because mine, I think it's locked up a little bit with the Zoom. But the exactly right. And I think, and guys in general too, girls too, if you're not doing something, sometimes it's, especially with our busy lives, we're like, it's like if we can be working out and listening to a podcast, if we can be, golfing and hanging out, social, if you can play basketball, whatever it might be. So it makes sense that we take the digital world to the metaverse, right, for all of these things. So that being said, yeah, are you cool to share your screen?
Yeah, it says it's disabled though.
Okay, yeah, I gotta make you the co-host. So boom. Made you the co-host, so you should be able to share it now. So Dan's going to be sharing his screen here, because what better way to experience talking about the metaverse than seeing kind of live what this thing can look like. So cool. Talked about what we're seeing here, because some people are listening to some of the podcasts and they actually can't see our screen unless they go to our YouTube channel, which you should go to and subscribe. Capital Gains Tax Solutions YouTube channel, or Expert CRE Secrets YouTube channel.
So what we're seeing here is basically an entire world around us that's been created, and all of this is highly editable. So see this water cooler, I can just click and move it, and I can move the water cooler up above. There's other people in here that we can connect to. You can embed content. So I just won a pitch competition actually right before this. And so that pitch competition is embedded inside this asset spatially. And so, if you think about this as like product demos as an example, you can actually make the entire world a journey through your product. And then you can have your salespeople or your marketing people or your community managers actually be in the world real time, able to interface with people that jump into the world. And, like you're seeing on our homepage, you can actually embed Topia inside of whatever your marketing assets are. Now, we require people to create an account, but Topia is incredibly customizable and configurable. So you can choose for your worlds not to have that requirement, as an example. And here you can see Erica is near me. So we're connected on audio and video. And I'm going to mute myself so she doesn't have to hear us talking about this. Although maybe, hey, Erica, how you doing?
Her audio's not coming through, but you can hear her, but I can't hear her because it's not connected. But
yeah, that's fine. So we're talking, and then I can move away and we disconnect, right? And so there can be hundreds of people in here, thousands of people, and you're only connecting to the people that you're actually close to, that you're in proximity to. Again, kind of like how real life works.
Mm-hmm. So cool. Okay, so let me kind of bring this out for a little more real life too. Someone learning about this for the first time. So I love the way you put like the product experience or like he has engineering, marketing department, different departments here. It's like a campus for those who are wondering. It's got grass. It's got like buildings that have no roofs that you can see inside of them. And then there's also like videos of him live there too. So it's kind of it's the metaverse, right? In that scenario. So you mentioned like someone could walk into if they're trying to educate someone like on courses or something, right? It's more of an interactive. They can experience it versus just clicking on like a button. Is that a good way to think about it too? On like if someone was trying to teach someone something or go through a product demonstration.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is just a URL. So take an example on most people's homepages. They have a book a demo, especially SaaS platforms. Book a demo. You're trying to make a decision right then, but you have to asynchronously book a demo. It might be 3 days later. You're not even trying to make that purchase decision anymore. And instead, now you can actually have a button where you go right into a world and you talk to a salesperson right there. And by the way, you're interfacing with people that are part of the customer community, other customers of this thing already that are customers or prospects, other people that are considering buying the thing. And so, that ability, and then sure, if you're trying to learn or you're trying to teach somebody, SDRs we have including Topia Worlds in their outbound emails. If you're doing some kind of e-learning, we have universities using Topia. We have classrooms using it. It's kind of like an interactive classroom scavenger hunt.
So this is what I'm thinking, right? I mean, you walk into part of what Apple does so great, right? You can walk in and then they have like some like a little mini course going on. They have the people interacting. Everyone's there, and it's this environment that's like it's very immersive, right? And so that's correct me if I'm wrong. You're kind of bringing that world to. So if someone's interested in something, you're like, well, what if I could just show up and walk into their store today, right? And be connected with somebody and in real time, like not just a bot, saying, hey, answering the things, like this is an actual person with you live. And by the way, someone, because I remember standing, if you go shopping for stuff and someone's next to you and they're going, I'm shopping for the same thing. I'm going through the same process. And all of a sudden, you're right. It's completely it's 100% better than would be just static. Is that what you're saying, Daniel?
Absolutely. And you also have serendipity, right? So take the Apple Store example. Sometimes I've gone to the Apple Store and I run into somebody I know who's buying a MacBook and asks me for advice. They trust my opinion, right? And if you're a SaaS software vendor and you're selling a MarTech solution and marketing people are coming in, a lot of them actually know each other, right? So you get to actually have somebody that knows each other, that's a customer, explain why they're a customer to somebody that trusts them. That is impossible in something like Zoom, but it is possible in Topia.
This is so cool, Daniel. And so for our listeners who want to get started or check this out or get a demo or like what I don't know, there's cost, different things. Like what are kind of the next steps for people if they're like interested?
So here we have some people from my team, by the way, that just jumped in for anybody that can actually see what's going on. Hey, Sam. And so to get started, you just go to topia.io. You can create a world for free. You can have up to 25 people in there. You can customize it fully. And then we're kind of like a venue. So we charge based on venue size. If you want to have 100 people capacity, the ability to have up to 100 people at a time, that costs $400 a month. And if you want to have 1,000 people at a time, which is, by the way, a lot of people, then, it's $4,000 a month. But a lot of people are spending, somewhere between $30 and $100 a month. They have relatively, small venue size, but you're able to bring basically an infinite number of people through, have as many events as you want, as long as you don't exceed that capacity, that venue capacity.
And people like leave a message. Like, what if they come in like at 9 a.m. and no one's in there? They can like maybe leave a message there, and then someone comes in and says, "I'll meet you there later." Like, can you is it kind of customizable with setting meetings or meeting places and all that stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. And everybody can have their own world. You can also, so we just saw Sam. I can actually, you can leave messages for people. So kind of like send them post boxes. It's not just real time connection. We have a lot of chat. You can chat to everybody in the world. You can embed text within the world. So you could do just like you said, kind of like when people were in college and you had a whiteboard and people are leaving you notes. You can do that sort of thing in Topia as well.
This is so cool. And by the way, you can go to topia.io, topia.io to check it out. Excellent. So if you want to stop sharing, we'll continue the conversation if that's cool, Daniel. So we're going to shift a little bit here to capital gains tax, right? Because people are like, what in the world? Why are you guys talking about metaverse? Well, it's a couple of things. We're entrepreneurs at heart. We're real estate investors at heart. We work with crypto folks, tech folks, work with business professionals, entrepreneurs. Like all of that combines to the future of what's going on. So I do trust that everyone is appreciating and seeing the value here. But beyond that too, we're also brass tacks. Like when we go to sell these big businesses, or faced with huge capital gains taxes or real estate or cryptocurrency. And so we focus like a laser, Daniel. Our passion is helping people defer the tax, unlock freedom for the capital, and redeploy it into other tech entrepreneurial businesses or real estate, diversify their wealth, exit crypto high, defer millions of tax. So I'm curious, Dan, on your experience with what you've done so far, what have you seen for yourself, friends, or family when it comes to, or friends, deferring capital gains tax on the sale of highly appreciated tech companies or businesses or crypto?
Yeah, it's really an interesting question. And I have not, exited in a big way a tech company or anything like that. But, I was a relatively early crypto investor. I was, as I mentioned, I was an Ethereum developer. I've been a big Bitcoin advocate for many years. And so, there is some capital gains if I were to sell those things. Nothing that's worth moving to, say, Puerto Rico for. But that is one of the things that we've been seeing right across the industry, especially with Bitcoiners, is a massive move away from California. I had a lot of friends in California that were early Bitcoiners that are no longer here because it becomes increasingly expensive to actually live in a state like California or New York. And so a lot of people moving to Miami or Austin, where Florida and Texas, have much more favorable conditions. And then even as a tech entrepreneur, it's one of the challenging and frustrating and a little bit confusing things about California is that it's supposed to be sort of the place for entrepreneurs to have the best opportunities, but it's also one of the most challenging from a capital gains perspective. I'm not overly focused on it at this moment. I'm trying to just build things that people love, but it is something that I hear chirped about a lot, and especially amongst my other tech friends and crypto friends, a lot of frustration being expressed.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that. And then the question is, can I defer capital gains tax on Bitcoin or Ethereum or other assets that are highly appreciated? And the answer is yes. And without moving to Puerto Rico or giving up your citizenship or doing something funny, decentralized, offshore, like you can literally defer tax. In fact, we did a couple deals recently for a couple tech experts out of Silicon Valley. One of them, she worked for Google, and she bought Bitcoin, 30 to 50,000 was her total cost. And then the gain went to 50 million. So the value went to 50 million. And so she never sold. In fact, she was like, I'm never going to sell unless I A, can defer the tax or something there, and B, have like some kind of investment that I want to put into. So Bitcoin hit 54,000, it was worth 50 million. She exited 5 million. And that was big for her because not only she deferred about 1.85 million of tax, didn't have to move to Puerto Rico, but also was able to redeploy the capital into a tech startup. And part of her passion was with her college roommate, which was to build a kind of like a Khan Academy online, like another way to educate the world with online education. And so she has an extra $2 million to do it with, right? And she has that freedom to diversify her wealth. We did it with another client who had Ethereum, and he bought Ethereum for about 100,000, and the Ethereum went to 13.5 million. And likewise, he was working for a big tech company. For him, he kind of wanted to retire from that and start his own crypto company and diversify his wealth. And he traveled the wild swings, right? And his wife was like ready to get out sooner. He was like, no, the future's here. And it became like, a heated discussion. And the big thing that was the center of it was, well, the compromise, well, if we can defer this tax, we can change our outcomes for both of us here. And so they did that, and they're great. They actually ended up doing 7.5 million of their 13.5. And they did it when Ethereum was like at 3,000 and around 4,000 a coin. So they exited a good amount. The point of all this is there is a solution. You can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com if anyone wants to learn about this and how to get started. We have no cost consultations on all of this. And we have our mastermind every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That being said, Daniel, any thoughts on any of that? Like when you hear that ability to have that flexibility, what do you think that would mean for the crypto world?
I think it's cool. I think it's a bummer that a lot of people are moving to Puerto Rico, as cool as that might be. I think being able to be in California, there's a reason that people choose to be here, even though it's challenging from a tax perspective. And that's because, at least in my perspective, it's the best state. And it's just awesome here for so many different reasons. So, hearing that sounds like a compelling way for people to be able to stay. And so I'm excited about that.
Cool. Well, thanks for sharing. So that being said, we're running out of time. You ready for the lightning round?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Knowing what you know now, Daniel, if you go back to your 20 or 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget you'd make sure to tell yourself to do?
I think I would start learning to design more. And one of my weaknesses is like colors and names. And I'm just not, I have a good knack for some elements of design, but it's definitely one of my weak spots.
Cool. Number 2 question. What's the number 1 book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
Shantaram, which is a fiction book, kind of, quasi-fiction. It's great. It's an amazing journey.
Awesome. Great. 3rd question. What are you most curious about right now?
Most curious about? I think, what's going to happen over the next 6 months in this country and just with the world. I feel like there's a lot of stutter stepping going on in the economy and politics. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see.
Awesome. Last question. After all your success, building all the things you've built and, all the success you've had, winning this California competition with hundreds of applicants and being chosen there for that award there, which is really amazing. What's the one habit that you practice every day to help you keep centered in your values and then also stay encouraged to charge forward to reach new heights?
Yeah, I've started writing every day, and I have a framework where I do reflection on the past day, think about what I want for the coming day, and then talk about sort of the emotional state that I'm in. It's actually very interesting it's almost like quasi goal setting each day, and then understanding where I was at. It feels a little bit like quantified self. But can be very grounding, can also be just a great outlet, and then incredibly interesting to reflect back on.
That's fantastic. I love that. It's a great habit to practice. And I want to thank you for being on the show, Daniel. We are out of time. I want to encourage you to keep using your gifts of understanding complex problems and solving it. But beyond just that, also building things to help people to implement things like community, things like technology. All that being said, for those who want to get in touch with you, could you remind them one last time what's the best place for them to find you?
Topia.io, or you can email us at team@topia.io, and look forward to seeing everybody soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Daniel. I also want to thank our listeners for listening to another episode of the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, also streamed on expertcresecrets.com, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and not having a clear plan is the enemy. And using a deferred sales trust is an amazing way to exit cryptocurrency without moving to Puerto Rico. Businesses, real estate, primary homes, save a failed 1031 exchange so you can diversify your wealth, create and preserve more wealth. You can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com to learn more about that, to join our free mastermind, a little community. Maybe have to get the Topia going there, but if there's more than 25 people, then it's going to maybe break the system or got to come out of the pocket. But that is cool too. Now, check out the new book, too, going out. It's Building a Tax-Deferred Exit Strategy. And we've got Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank. He's going to be in the book, and a lot of other smart people. And that's out in Amazon in the next 30 days. Please rate, review, subscribe. Please share this with someone that could help.